A little background before we start. James Baldwin died in 1987. His most influential works were written during the 1950s and 60s. He wrote novels as well as essays covering a very substantial breadth of subjects, including his experience as a man of color in the US. He was born in 1924, but also as a gay or bisexual or sexually fluid person. He himself rejected labels, but his autobiographical writing seems to indicate that he would line up with one of those identities most closely. Many Thousands Gone is part of the essay collection Notes of a Native Son, which was published in 1949. Baldwin is doing political philosophy as well as traditional ethics in his essays, and they are really deeply tied together for Baldwin, just as they are for Mill. Political philosophy concentrates on how ethical principles should be applied to the way we organize ourselves as a society, and it tries to derive what our most fundamental principles should be in terms of our social organization. Baldwin was a novelist as well as a political philosopher. For Baldwin, the political philosophy and the novels are deeply tied together. As you'll notice as we work through his ideas, Baldwin is tremendously concerned with the depth to which Black people have been dehumanized in America. He identifies areas of dehumanization that we don't often think of. The project of exploring people as fully developed, complex, contradictory, messy, conflicted, fully human characters is one of the most important ways we can begin to genuinely recognize one another as human. So his novels are a kind of fulfillment of his ethical ideas. And his essays are highly literary in style, not just in the sense that they're far more beautifully constructed than any of the other philosophers you've read, or any philosopher that I can think of, period, but also in the sense that they don't proceed from premise to premise through an obviously delineated argument. That means that you have to dig through more to find the line of the argument. And they're also highly multi-layered, with themes picked up and explored along different angles, almost like a piece of music. There are multiple references in this essay, as you would expect from someone who's also a novelist. The first is in the title itself, which refers to a slave song called No More Auction Block for Me, Many Thousands Gone. It's sung in the first person, from the point of view of an enslaved person, and it's ambiguous whether they've survived to emancipation or whether they're anticipating their own death and the freedom that death will bring. The song itself is incredibly spare and haunting, and let's listen to it first.
No more auction block for me. No more, no more. No more auction block for me. Many thousand gone. auction block for me. Many thousand gold.
Baldwin's essay most obviously references the reverberations of the institutional torture of slavery, but the essay reflects the song in other, more subtle ways. Primarily, the song is full of tension. It simultaneously reflects the relief that death will bring, and repeatedly mourns the many thousands, millions really, who were killed. It's sung like a dirge, extremely stark and mournful, in a minor key, with little instrumentation and minimal harmony. And you'll see that Baldwin's essay returns again and again to themes of tension and contradiction that underscore his interpretation of the way the founding of the country plays out in contemporary life. The essay was a review of the novel Native Son. Native Son was a protest novel published in 1940, written by American novelist Richard Wright. The central character is a 20-year-old African-American man named Bigger Thomas, who lives in extreme poverty in 1930s Chicago. Bigger commits several murders, and the novel spends a lot of time contemplating the ways in which the murders were shaped not only by extreme poverty, but also especially by systemic racism and the ways in which Bigger himself is shaped by the racist system he grows up in and the need to accommodate and respond to those systems. It was internationally acclaimed. Some of you might have read it in high school. And Baldwin's essay is in part a critique of the novel and the assumptions that underlie it and the general public response to it, but it serves more as a springboard for Baldwin's development of ideas in ethics and political philosophy. James Baldwin was a black man, but you might notice as you read that he frequently makes references to the way we treat or view or interact with African American people. One of Baldwin's founding premises, which we'll talk about later at length, is the idea that the creation of America is premised on the creation of whiteness as a category and an identity, and further, that whiteness is fundamentally premised on the exclusion and negation of blackness. Although he was actually writing this in France, Baldwin is examining the creation of America and the repercussions of that creation from the perspective of an American. As an American, therefore, Baldwin is writing from a position that excludes blackness by the implication of his theory. We're going to talk about that idea, which is really central to Baldwin's political philosophy, in much more detail later. But in short, there's one sense in which Baldwin's experience as a black man permeate this and all his essays, and another sense in which the position he takes up as an American in examining these questions explicitly excludes blackness, which is another way in which contradiction and tension plays out in the essays. In a way, Baldwin is the easiest to read. He's contemporary, so his writing style is much more intuitive for us. His ideas are often as complex and abstract to grasp as Plato's, though. They're full of different levels of meaning, various associations and allusions, so you have to not get fooled by the beautiful, flowing writing style, and remember to keep a strong grip on the arguments getting built up throughout the piece. In our next lecture, we'll start to work through Baldwin's central arguments regarding what he sees as the central erasures of black personhood that took place with the inception of America. Be sure to review your notes and the video, and email me if you have any questions. When you're ready, scroll down to watch the next video. I'll see you soon. Thank you.